Imagine feeling truly whole, authentic, and powerful, not by eliminating your flaws, but truly understanding and integrating with them. Most of us have been taught that our weaknesses are problems we need to fix. But what if those flaws are actually your hidden strengths? In this video, I'm going to show you how the shadow work can help you unlock your unseen power, that hidden version of you that you've been suppressing, and help you embrace all of who you are so you can transform your life from the inside out. In case we haven't met, my name is Dr. Harmony. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when all my videos and content come live. I've spent years guiding people through the deep inner work. And if there's one thing I've learned, and I know for sure, it's this, that the parts of ourselves that we reject hold the keys to our greatest power. I've witnessed clients shift lifetimes of pain simply by just facing those shadows that they've once feared. And this isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole within and accepting all of yourself. So let's start with some basics. What is shadow work? So technically, the shadow work is the hidden parts of yourself you've not either seen, felt, acknowledged, understood, listened to, heard, or healed. Carl Jung is a psychologist who coined the term the shadow. He explained it as the parts of ourselves that we've kept hidden. And that would be our fears, our insecurities, our angers, our desires. It's everything we've hidden under the rug or behind the curtain. And it keeps coming up as an illusion that we are perfect and that we got to keep that part of ourselves hidden. But here's the thing. Ignoring that shadow doesn't make it disappear. It only gives it more control over us. And in today's world where we have toxic positivity that tells us to focus on the light, you don't want to focus on the shadows, you don't want to dig it up. But this work matters more than ever because we're to transmute that darkness into the light. And when we do it for ourselves, we're doing it for others. So what we need to do is learn how to shift our perception from weakness to power. What that really means is our flaws are our best features. And so what if I told you that these flaws are just features of you that are so-called weaknesses that simply just want to be acknowledged, that want to be integrated with, that wants to be transformed and turned into a strength. And you can't do that because you haven't integrated with it yet. So let me give you an example of that. Think of sensitivity, and we're all hypersensitive empaths, right? And so we take on and we feel the burden of this harsh world. But that is also the gateway to some deeper empathy and intuition in ourselves. Or maybe we've even struggled with the anger, but beneath that anger often lies a real passion, a courage, a fierce sense of justice that needs to come out and be heard, to be listened to. And when we can stop rejecting those parts of us, they stop controlling us. And instead, they empower us. Okay, so how do you start working on your shadows then, right? And I find, and a lot of people have done this, but journaling helps tremendously for me. I can sit down and ask myself questions that spark ideas or perception or like an inner voice and a knowing. And when I ask myself the questions, I kind of even close my eyes, connect to my heart, and I listen. And then without thought of external things, I start writing. So it's kind of like the idea of scripting or automated writing, where you're writing just really from what you feel, not what you think. So one of the things when it comes to these ideas of suppression or judging those shadows within yourself, and you want to do some journal prompts, you can ask yourself questions like, what traits in others trigger me the most? Especially in this case, what traits does your twin flame trigger you the most? And what fear do you face when you have the idea of like, what are people going to think of me if they knew the real me? Like, what are they going to think? And then what is the fear that you have under that, and why do you care? And so that's one thing I found in journal prompting that helps more than anything, is to go below the question to below the question to below the question till you get some resonance of, aha, that is the core wound, basically, that now I know where I adopted this fear from or this suppression from, and now I can face it because I now understand where it came from. That's one of the biggest points of journaling, is discovering more about who you are and the things that your soul wants you to know. And a second thing you can do is use your imagination and create intentional, active imagination by closing your eyes and imagine sitting across from your shadows and start dialoguing with this back and forth. You don't have to journal it out. Just keep asking what it needs from you, what it needs you, how it needs you to show up, and what is it you can do to help resolve this. And you'll always get an answer if you just sit and imagine yourself having a conversation with your shadow self. And the third part of that is then have mindful observation of future experiences and start to notice when you get triggered that the emotional reaction is due to some underlying unintegrated part of yourself. And what part is that? And what does that part need from you? And pay attention. So now you can refocus and you can reroute and you can reprogram the framework of that perception, and then you can rewire it through your nervous system as to how you respond versus react. And of course, shadow work is not easy. I mean, you have to really, really face yourself in the middle of that process. But we resist it a lot of times. And resistance and fear are natural. So we need to also not fight that parts of ourselves that feels this fear or feels the resistance versus judging that, which is another form of separation and putting yourself in a position to create more of an expectation that you should be perfect, and you're not, because there is perfection in the imperfect. And most importantly, remember that discomfort is just a sign of growth. And if you start to feel overwhelmed through this process, take it step by step. Don't go to the end result. Don't focus on the whole thing. Just do one step at a time, one question at a time, one observation at a time. And over time, these small steps will make momentum and create progress. So it's not all about jumping into the deepest pit all at the same time. Now, granted, sometimes that happens, but pace yourself intentionally. Kind of like do it from a place of, I don't have to just do all this at once. I don't have to be perfect all at once. And know when you need to reach out, when you need to speak with someone, when you need support. That's why having a guide, a healer, a therapist can sometimes help you walk through this process to gradually bite-size this out instead of trying to eat the elephant all at one time. This also gives you an opportunity to express out loud sometimes, and then also shift the energy, have some clarification, give you the idea that somebody truly is seeing you, hearing you, listening to you, and most importantly, that when you do that, you're showing up for yourself. And we're in a day and age, we don't want to give our power away to someone through that process, but having someone walk by you, by your side to support you, also is a process to say, I don't have to do this alone anymore, which is what also part of the problem is. But when you begin to embrace your shadows, something really extraordinary happens. And you start to feel the empowerment. You start to feel whole. You start to see things around you and in you heal. And suddenly you're no longer fighting those parts of you, which is the parts of you that you're actually separating from, which is where in the whole twin flame journey comes the separation and causes the separation with the other person. Because when you go through an experience when someone's triggering you, such as your twin flame, they're triggering the parts of you you haven't seen, the hidden parts, the hidden self. And so then pushing that person away or not using that person as your mirrored reflection is also fighting the parts of yourself, denying the parts of yourself and suppressing the parts of yourself. So when you can begin to heal that within and take responsibility and look within and know it's not so much the other person, it's what's not healed in me, then you will stop having the triggers show up to create these experiences that trigger you in such a way that brings this to light. And so now you're facing the shadows, which is your job and your responsibility to heal your own wounds within. And most people want to blame the other person. Therefore, when you do take responsibility, all relationships improve. So you're not projecting onto them your hidden fears. And decision making becomes clear because you're now not sabotaging yourself. You're not blaming anyone. And then you're not feeling guilty through the process of how you react or respond to people. And now you begin to live more authentically, bringing your full power, your full unique self, and you're being seen in the world, which is part of the problem is you want to be seen, but you won't see yourself because you don't want to face your shadows. And this can help you recognize that your shadows and doing the shadow work is actually a gift to yourself, and it is self-love. For me, I've discovered that some of my greatest challenges are really been just invitations for me to become whole and to accept and to honor and to listen and to hear and to see, feel, and heal myself. And so beneath the depth of that creates an ability to clear out what's not working. So you increase your capacity to hold space for others instead of reject others, which is where the rejection comes from, because underneath being rejected is self-rejection. So begin to think of each shadow that it just carries a strength and it's waiting to be reclaimed. And for me, once I embraced that part of it, everything shifted. And not just within me, but within my relationships, my work, my mission, my purpose, my writing, my entire life began to change. And if you're ready to go deeper within yourself and finally face these fears, to find the freedom that I always talk about, and you're ready to truly experience the integration of yourself, then I invite you to book a quantum realignment session. I've opened those back up again. And so in this one powerful session, it's helping you uncover these hidden patterns, to release the energetic blocks that's holding you back so you can realign with your true self, your authentic self, the version of you that you truly want to see and that you truly want to embrace and embody, to come forth with, so that you feel that sense of wholeness. And just showing up for yourself in that way, as far as having a session just like this, is a sense of being able to look at it as transforming those shadows into strength so that you can step into the wholeness you deserve and be worthy of that. And sometimes it's giving yourself permission and the worthiness to even book such a session. So I'll make sure you have the link above and below so that you can check that out and see if that resonates with you. It really does help to remember that your shadow work isn't your enemy. It's truly your ally. And embracing it is truly the pathway to living authentically, powerfully, and fully whole. So I'd love to hear from you what you're doing to embrace your own shadows. So drop a comment below and share, what part of yourself are you ready to embrace? And what shadow do you have to face in order to embrace that? And if this video helped you in any way, be sure to subscribe, be sure to like, comment, share. It really does help the channel. And here I try to provide things to help you with transformation, healing, and alignment, so I can offer more content on healing, transformation, alignment, those kinds of things. And until next time, remember, you are worthy, and you are whole, and you are loved. And it's time to face all those shadows so that you can integrate with them and truly step forward in your life. I'll see you next time.
Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us.